At the party, my husband's good friend loudly asked him, "Your secretary is pregnant with your child, what are you going to do?" My husband placed the peeled shrimp on my plate and said softly, "Except for marriage, I will give her everything she deserves. But she and the child are never allowed to appear in front of Sophia. The company's research and development relies entirely on Sophia. If Sophia finds out that I betrayed her, she will definitely leave me. Neither I nor the company can afford the cost of losing Sophia." After saying that, he signed that he would love me forever. But he didn't notice my reddened eyes. He didn't know that I came today to surprise him and tell him that my ears had been cured. But I never expected that he would also give me a surprise. I lost my hearing for him and gave up my dreams. But in return, I got betrayal. However, he knows me well. If I find out that he cheated, I will definitely leave him. Never look back. "Sophia, what's wrong?" Hearing Michael's slightly panicked voice, the entire private room suddenly fell into dead silence. Everyone stared at me in horror. When I spat out a bloody shrimp with tears, including Michael, everyone breathed a sigh of relief at the same time. Fortunately, sister-in-law is deaf, otherwise it would be a big trouble. It's best if she remains deaf for the rest of her life, so that Michael can manipulate her at will. What if she can hear? She's just a lapdog. As long as Michael gives her a little sweetness, she has to obey. A group of people in the private room were humiliating and cursing me. But my husband, the man I loved deeply, just pretended to affectionately check the wound in my mouth. He didn't refute, not even frowning. After confirming that I was fine, Michael breathed a sigh of relief and signed to me, "I'll take you to the hospital first. Don't eat so fast next time. If you like shrimp, I'll peel it for you every day." If it were before when I couldn't hear any sound, facing Michael's performance at this moment, I would have been moved to tears. But now, I just feel chilled all over, so shocked that I can't say a word. Michael was about to get up and pack things to take me away, but his good friend stopped him. "Michael, wait a minute, we have a program prepared for you tonight. No program is more important than taking Sophia to see a doctor. You guys have fun. Don't go, you're the protagonist today." Michael ignored them completely. He helped me put on my coat, took my bag, and led me out. I was like a thoughtless puppet, letting him manipulate me. But when he opened the door of the private room, Michael stopped in his tracks. Lena, dressed in a red dress, stood at the door, blocking the way. Seeing the carefully dressed Lena, Michael's face changed. He blocked my view and sternly asked, "Didn't I warn you not to appear in front of Sophia? What do you want?" Lena glanced at me and immediately said to Michael with a submissive look, "In ancient times, when a concubine entered the family, she had to offer tea to the main wife. Now that I'm pregnant, I don't want any status, just a toast to my sister." It's equivalent to just wanting the status of a mistress, that should be fine, right? The private room quieted down, and everyone looked like they were watching a good show. Michael then understood that the program they mentioned earlier was this. Lena wanted to perform a harmonious scene of wife and concubine in front of his good friends. "Sophia has quit drinking for 3 years, she won't drink your wine." Michael instinctively wanted to refuse. Previously, in order to get the company listed as soon as possible, I worked day and night, with irregular meals, and was hospitalized several times for liver and stomach diseases within a few years. The doctor sternly warned me that I must not drink alcohol. In the past few years, whenever someone tried to persuade me to drink, Michael would always refuse sternly. But this time, Michael hesitated. He turned to look at me and signed, "Sophia, Lena is my assistant. She admires what you did to save me back then. She wants to toast to you. Please drink a glass with her." Michael's words were like blunt knives constantly stabbing into my heart, like countless insects gnawing at my body. I felt like I had fallen into a bottomless abyss, unable to breathe. Today's play seemed to be prepared for Michael, but it was actually prepared for me. The protagonist was Michael, the supporting role was Lena, and the clown was me. I looked into Michael's eyes with a glimmer of hope and tried to ask, "Do you want me to drink?" Michael hesitated for a moment and nodded. I smiled. It turns out that when people are in extreme pain, they really can smile. He knew this was an insult to me. He also knew that my body couldn't handle alcohol. He knew even more that only he could trick me into drinking this glass of wine. But he still agreed. 6 years ago, I gave up my dreams to accompany him in starting a business. 3 years ago, in a car accident, I lost my hearing to save him. But today, I realized what kind of thing I had loved. Under everyone's gaze, I took the wine glass handed over by Lena with both hands. Michael, this is the toast Lena prepared for you, and it's also the farewell wine between you and me. After drinking this glass of wine, there will be no more love between us. Amidst the uproar, I drank the wine in the glass completely. This group of good friends who had intricate connections with Michael's company all expressed their respect to him. I'll take you to the hospital. Michael, who was, finally remembered that I had just been injured amidst the waves of flattery. But his usual care now made me feel extremely disgusted. I shook off his hand and said lightly, "You stay and play with them for a while. I'll go to the hospital by myself. Don't let me spoil your fun." After saying that, ignoring the somewhat stunned Michael, I left the private room alone. Michael wanted to chase after me, but was stopped by Lena, who pulled him back to his seat. Amidst the uproar of his friends, he drank a cross-cupped wine with Lena. Walking out of the hotel, tears uncontrollably blurred my eyes. 6 years ago, Michael came to consult my teacher about a technical problem. Since the teacher had something urgent, he pushed me, who was helping the teacher's wife cook, to meet him. Because we hit it off, the teacher's wife kept Michael for dinner. We discussed technical issues while eating. During the meal, Michael ate all the dishes I cooked. From that day on, he used the excuse of liking the food I cooked to pursue me fiercely. With no social experience and emotional history, I quickly fell under his love. That year, for him, I gave up the opportunity for further study recommended by my teacher. He also kept his promise and married me. After marriage, we were loving and harmonious. Until 3 years ago, we had a car accident while on a business trip together. At the critical moment, I protected him tightly. He was slightly injured, but I lay in the ICU for 3 days and eventually lost my hearing in both ears until it was fully cured today. Until just now, I had always thought that my sacrifice was worthwhile. Because I thought that Michael and I were a model of modern love. I sacrificed everything for him, and he stayed by my side. We could support each other through my whole life. But now, I don't know whether his pursuit and promise to marry me were sincere or had ulterior motives. However, it doesn't matter anymore. I want to completely separate from him. I picked up my phone and called my teacher. "Teacher, my ears are healed. I want to join the aviation project number 3. "Great. But, are you sure? Once you join the aviation project number 3, you won't be able to contact your family for at least 5 years. Are you willing to leave Michael?" I answered without hesitation, "Teacher, I'm going to divorce." After a moment of silence, the teacher said, "All right, in 7 days, I'll send someone to pick you up." I looked back at the brightly lit hotel and pleaded, "Teacher, can it be faster?" "Okay, tomorrow night at 8 o'clock, the person to pick you up will arrive on time. You have wasted your talent for so many years. You should get into the state as soon as possible. Your talent should belong to the stars, not the kitchen." Back home, I took 2 pills. Under the dual effects of alcohol and medicine, I soon became drowsy. In a half-asleep state, Michael walked in while talking on the phone. "Lena, I'm very satisfied with today's gift." "I'm happy if you're satisfied. At least it can make your friends recognize me. Even if I'm just a mistress, I'm happy." Lena's affectionate words were played out loud without any scruples. Michael wasn't worried at all that I, the deaf person, would hear. Listening to their flirtation, I suddenly felt unprecedented nausea and turned over to dry heave. Seeing my reaction, Michael anxiously came over to care for me. But the vulgar flirtation on the phone, combined with the perfume Lena left on him, made my nausea reach its peak. I pushed Michael away and rushed into the bathroom. I leaned over the toilet, wanting to vomit, but couldn't, feeling extremely nauseous. After calming down a bit and trying to get up, Michael touched my shoulder to comfort me. But the moment he touched me, I immediately got goosebumps and felt even more nauseous. I vomited all at once. Now, my body also began to feel disgusted by Michael. I wanted to push him away and stay away from him, but Michael, who always had a cleanliness obsession, hugged me regardless and frantically signed. "It's all my fault. I shouldn't have let you drink. Don't be afraid, I'll take you to the hospital." His hands were moving so fast that they almost left after images, as if he wanted to say everything clearly. 1 second he was flirting with another woman, and now he was affectionately apologizing to me. "Michael, which of your words is true?" I pushed him away hard and kept a distance from him. "I feel much better. I'll be fine after a sleep." It turns out that lying is so easy. I never deceived Michael before, but now, lies come out effortlessly. And there's no guilt at all. Michael looked into my eyes and signed an apology. "I'm really sorry. I've been too busy lately and couldn't even find time to accompany you. It's my fault for neglecting your feelings." After saying that, he hugged me tightly, very hard, as if he wanted to embed me into his arms, as if only in this way could I feel his love for me. But it let me see the hickey hidden under his clothes. Michael helped me up, but I shook off his hand and walked back to the bedroom alone. Michael was stunned. Since we got married, I had never given him a cold shoulder, let alone shaken off his hand. By the time he reacted, I had already lain down on the bed and fallen asleep. "Sophia, you're angry with me, right? Blaming me for forcing you to drink, blaming me for not having time to accompany you, right? I apologize to you. Don't be angry, okay?" Looking at this well-known domineering CEO showing a little girl's posture in front of me, I painfully closed my eyes. Seeing that I ignored him and didn't continue to wake me up, he breathed a sigh of relief instead. Michael took out his phone and played a voice message. Lena's voice sounded in the bedroom. "Has sister fallen asleep? I'm next door and have changed my clothes. You promised me a reward, don't try to renege." Michael chuckled lightly and immediately got up quietly and left. Soon, the sound of their madness came from next door, and my tears finally burst out. Lena was actually in my house. Was it the first time? Or countless times? Michael, it's a pity you don't act. When I woke up the next day, Michael left me a note but was nowhere to be seen. "Wife, tonight at 8 o'clock is the company's last IPO roadshow. Don't forget. I have something urgent and have to go out first. I prepared a loving breakfast for you. Remember to eat. Love you." The breakfast was all my favorites, but there was an extra crab roe crystal bun. Michael doesn't eat crystal buns, and I'm allergic to crab roe. It seems that Lena left this morning. Of course, she stayed overnight. Otherwise, how could it be worthy of the big show she prepared last night? Isn't this Lena's purpose? I received a message from my teacher on my phone and clicked to view it. "Your junior brother has already set off. Get ready and don't delay." I replied, "Okay, I'll be ready in advance." I threw the note into the trash can casually and started packing. Packing slowly by myself, no one disturbed me. It would be better if there were no gifts sent by Michael from time to time. At 11 a.m., I received sunflowers ordered by Michael. This is my favorite flower because the flower language of sunflowers is loyal and passionate love. This was also the flower Michael used on the day he proposed. The proposal day was a Wednesday, and Michael said that every Wednesday would be our wedding anniversary. So, every Wednesday, I would receive his sunflowers. At 2 p.m., I received a ring designed by Michael himself. This was his 3-month labor of love, unique and one of a kind. At 4 p.m., I waited for the dress sent by Michael. This was specially customized by Michael for tonight's IPO meeting, perfectly matching his suit. However, Michael didn't show up all day because he had to accompany Lena. I didn't need to ask where Michael was because Lena would tell me on Facebook. At 11 a.m., Lena received a bouquet of sunflowers. The caption was, as always on Wednesday, as always sunflowers. At 2 p.m., Lena posted a close-up photo with the ring. My unique ring had a second identical one. At 4 p.m., Lena showed off a pregnancy test report and a villa's property certificate. The caption was, a gift from someone to his eldest son. Of course, Michael never appeared on his Facebook. But she accidentally photographed the man's hand, ring, and watch, all to show me Michael's identity. Michael's past belonged to me, but now it belongs to her. However, I don't care anymore. At 5 p.m., I changed into the clothes from 6 years ago and put my cherished books into the suitcase. At 6 p.m., I cut up all the photos and burned all the memories of me and Michael. At 7 p.m., I placed the prepared divorce agreement in the living room and got into the car that my junior brother came to pick me up. When I arrived at the airport, Michael, accompanied by Lena, also arrived at the IPO promotion meeting site. A group of people immediately surrounded Michael to flatter him. Michael, rest assured, this time it's just a formality. The share we agreed on in advance will definitely be reserved for me. Michael, you and your wife have supported each other in starting the business for 6 years, and finally, it's the harvest season. It's really inspiring. Now we just wait for your wife to appear, and this promotion meeting will be perfectly successful. Hearing everyone's words, Lena's face looked a bit ugly and she asked indignantly, clearly, Michael can come alone. Why do we have to wait for a vase? The people around immediately fell silent, and someone immediately blamed Lena. If you don't understand, shut up. Madam's technology is top-notch both domestically and internationally. She is the value of the company. Of course, Madam is the 1,000-mile horse, and Michael is the one who recognizes her talent. Only when Michael and Madam join forces can they be invincible. Yes, Michael, where is Madam? Why hasn't she arrived yet? Hearing someone ask, Michael picked up his phone to send me a message and found a red dot in the chat record. She had been deleted by me. Michael was full of doubts and was about to call me when suddenly someone exclaimed, "Oh no, something big happened. Check the hot search quickly." Michael wasn't interested in hot searches, but he heard the guests mentioning my name. So he switched from the contacts interface to Facebook to check the hot search terms. Welcome the new commander of the aviation project number 3, Sophia. In the hot search photo, I was smiling brightly, still wearing the dress from 6 years ago. That was what I wore when he came to consult my teacher about technical problems. From that day on, I began to lose myself and gave up my dreams, focusing solely on Michael. Since I decided to let go of everything, I would start over from the moment the mistake began. With years of marital affection, Michael naturally understood me. When I want to do something, I start from the beginning. Although the dress is old, I am brand new. The photo was dazzling. Coupled with the exclamation mark after the message was sent just now, a huge sense of unease surged in his heart. Didn't I hear that Sophia is deaf? How could a national project allow a disabled person to participate? Maybe Sophia is still amazing. No matter how amazing, it's impossible to participate in such a major project. Writing a proposal is fine. What nonsense proposal? Didn't you see she's the commander? She must have recovered long ago. The discussions around him entered Michael's ears word for word. As a research company in the aviation-related field, Michael naturally knew the significance of the aviation project number 3. A national project would never allow disabled people. Michael's throat tightened, his breathing became rapid, and he dialed my number tremblingly. Sorry, the user you dialed is turned off. Please try again later. The prompt tone on the phone seemed to be the last straw that broke the camel's back. In just a few minutes, Michael began to recall everything that happened yesterday. When exactly did she recover her hearing? Was it yesterday or earlier? Memory fragments kept flashing through his mind. The previous days were normal, except when drinking yesterday. I asked, "Do you really want me to drink?" And a series of abnormal behaviors yesterday. The truth always hurts people's sincerity. The truth of his infidelity and the fact that I recovered my hearing. So, will Sophia still come to today's promotion meeting? Isn't the aviation project number 3 unable to see family for several years? Yes, now Miss Sophia is at the airport, said to be flying directly to the southwest at 8 o'clock. Michael looked up at the clock in the hall. 7:30, there's still time. Lena, who saw through Michael's thoughts, hurriedly blocked his way. Michael, the IPO meeting is about to start. You can't go find her. We need someone to take charge. There was no hesitation on Michael's determined face. If the company didn't have me, this promotion meeting would never succeed. Moreover, if the subsequent scientific research achievements couldn't keep up, the company would soon go bankrupt. Michael shook off Lena's hand and drove to the airport. Behind him were many media vehicles. Sophia, who was supposed to appear at the venue, actually participated in the research and development of aviation project number 3. This must be explosive news. Because the media was following, Michael suppressed the urge to run red lights and just angrily pounded the steering wheel. The Gu family cannot have negative news now. When he arrived at the airport, there were still 15 minutes before the plane took off. As a researcher, I naturally had a unique badge. As soon as Michael entered the hall, he walked towards us. I was engrossed in reading scientific research materials. The commotion outside didn't affect me. Michael's voice was tight, but he still called out my name. Sophia. I looked in the direction of the voice and saw Michael standing there in shock. There was more guilt on his face. Yes, I'm not deaf anymore, I've recovered. Michael is so smart, he should have guessed why I left and why I wanted to participate in the research and development of aviation project number 3. I thought it would be smooth sailing to the base, but I didn't expect to see Michael's disgusting face again before leaving. I gently closed the book and walked straight to Michael, who was stopped by my junior brother outside the lounge. You can hear now? Even though he already knew the result, Michael still signed on willingly. Yes, I can hear. When? I snorted coldly and slowly said, is it important when I could hear? Michael turned his head away, not daring to look at me. You said those things in front of me, did you find it interesting? Treating me like a fool for so many years, did it give you a sense of accomplishment? Yesterday afternoon, I wanted to give you a surprise, but you gave me a surprise first. Behind Michael, many reporters and researchers who came to pick me up all looked at him. He paused and defended himself. Wife, listen to me. These are all misunderstandings. There are so many people here. Let's talk at home. Don't make a scene. Just a few words, as if to downplay the harm he caused me. Michael is still as selfish as ever, considering only himself. Now he knows it's embarrassing, but when he was looking for a mistress, he didn't know about propriety, justice, integrity, and shame. I raised the identity card in front of me and slowly said, it's impossible to go back. I've already joined the Aerospace Bureau. Let's part on good terms, and we can still be decent. My husband found a mistress, and I was surprised by my own calmness. Perhaps I should cry, make a scene, and threaten to hang myself. I truly loved Michael. Otherwise, I wouldn't have given up my dreams for him 6 years ago and lost my hearing to save him 3 years ago. Fortunately, my life doesn't only have him, and he's not indispensable. 6 years of feelings, I'll just consider it as feeding a dog. The announcement in the hall began to broadcast. Ladies and gentlemen, please note that your flight 3U6696 to Country A is now boarding. Please take all your luggage and boarding pass to board from Gate 17. Have a pleasant journey, thank you. After the first announcement, my junior brother next to me started packing up, preparing to take me to board. Michael stepped forward and grabbed me, looking anxious. Sophia. You can't leave. What about our dreams if you leave? The IPO meeting is about to start. I was wrong, I was really wrong. Please forgive me. I'll give you whatever you want. If you hate Lena, I'll send her away, and she will never appear in front of you again. I snorted coldly and disdainfully shook off Michael's hand. That's your dream, not mine. My dream is in the stars. Seeing that I was entangled, my junior brother also hurried forward to help me. With major media present, Michael couldn't make it ugly, so he had to let me go helplessly. But I know he will never give up easily. The Gu family is a bloodsucker that survives by clinging to me. I don't want to help him with anything anymore, nor do I want to provide him with anything. The mission of aviation project number 3 starts in 10 days. If I hadn't requested it, the teacher wouldn't have come to pick me up so quickly. When my mother was alive, she said that my temperament was too cold. I couldn't tolerate others making even a single mistake. But that's fine, I just need to be sad for a while, and I can let go. I treat others with sincerity. Why should I endure my emotions and forgive him after he hurts me? Michael knew that if he betrayed me, I would definitely leave, but he still chose to find a mistress. Did he really think that I loved him so much that I could tolerate any of his behaviors? I am now working for the country. In the coming time, you'd better not bother me. After saying these warning words, I turned and left with the others. The major media didn't understand the whole story from the few words. They just sensed that there might be a rift in our marriage. After I left, Michael stood there for a long time, unwilling to leave. His phone was also blown up, but he didn't dare to answer. Today's IPO meeting had completely failed. From the moment I decided to participate in the aviation project number 3, Michael's company could not go public. While Michael was in a daze, he suddenly remembered a heart-shaped shell I gave him many years ago. That was when we went to City B together. I was clamoring to eat barbecue at night. During my period, I would be a bit fussy. I always wanted Michael to satisfy my various small requests. Sophia, it's too late now. Let's go eat tomorrow. I am a person with ideas, even 10 cows can't pull me back. I pouted angrily and insisted on going out to eat immediately. Michael had no choice but to find me a thick coat and go out. But before we reached the barbecue restaurant, we were stopped by a few hooligans who wanted to rob us. One of them saw that my clothes were branded and came to grab them. At the critical moment, Michael blocked in front of me. One of the hooligans' sharp knives accidentally stabbed into his abdomen. Because of this incident, I made him a heart-shaped shell pendant. If it weren't for me, he wouldn't have to lie in the hospital. In the future, if I really can't forgive you, this shell will be your get-out-of-jail-free card. When you see it, no matter what, I will forgive you. After Michael took the necklace, he carefully touched it and said lightly, "Can it be for anything?" "Yes, anything." At this moment, Michael didn't stay at the airport anymore and immediately drove back home. As soon as he entered, he noticed the trash can was full. I have a cleanliness obsession and always take all the garbage with me before going out. This was the first time I didn't. So Michael bent down and poured out the contents of the trash can. Inside were all the photos of me and him over the years, all cut into pieces by me. The most eye-catching was the wedding photo. I was in a hurry, so I just cut it in the middle, separating the two people. Michael's emotions were complex, and he felt suffocated. After taking a deep breath, he walked into the house. The divorce agreement on the table was very obvious. I deliberately placed it in a prominent position so that Michael would notice it. When Michael saw it, he had a look of disbelief. It wasn't because of the divorce agreement itself, but because of its content. To avoid unnecessary trouble, I chose to leave with nothing. The joint property of husband and wife does have my share, but the thought that this money was earned by me and Michael together made me feel disgusted. Money is something that I can earn immediately if I want to. Moreover, I don't need that much money at all. Before, when I was with Michael, to take care of his face, I let him participate in everything. Therefore, the speed of many projects was slowed down. If I had done it myself, I could have achieved what he has now in just 1 year. I always believed that it's better to teach a man to fish than to give him a fish, so I patiently taught him everything in my mind. But some people don't know how to be grateful. Michael clutched the divorce agreement tightly in his hand, trembling as he read it all. The edges of the paper were crumpled and turned white by him. Michael's tears fell in large drops. But soon he calmed down. Now the most important thing was to find that necklace. Michael searched everywhere but couldn't find the shell. He began to recall. After getting the necklace, when I got home, I helped him put it in the study cabinet. Michael searched while recalling. As if remembering something, he lay down on the ground and saw the shell necklace in the corner, covered with dust. I rarely entered Michael's study, so it wasn't as clean as other places. Everyone has their own private space, which I thought was normal. However, this private space was actually where he had affairs with other women. After Michael took out the shell, he put it in the sink to clean. But the materials inlaid on it were stained with dust and couldn't be washed off. Michael frustratedly pounded the wash basin. He went to several cleaning shops to make the shell look less terrible. Booking a ticket for the next day, Michael went back to pack a few clothes, preparing to go to the northwest to find me. My previous warning, in his view, could still be resolved by coaxing. At night, Michael looked at everything familiar in the house with dim eyes. Ding dong. The doorbell rang. Michael was overjoyed and quickly got up. Sophia. Before he could say "You're back," Michael saw Lena at the door, and his face immediately darkened. What are you doing here? Lena didn't think much of it and said calmly, If you don't go to the company, I can only come to find you, Michael. Why did you remove my position? Although I'm pregnant, it's still early, and I can accompany you for a few more months. As Lena spoke, she tried to go inside but was stopped by Michael. I said that this company can't do without Sophia. You can never appear in front of her. Since you can't do that, you should lose some things. At this moment, Lena began to feel a bit unconvinced. What she can do, I can do too. Why do you only have eyes for her, Michael? I'm pregnant with your child. You took back the house, and now you're firing me. How are my son and I supposed to live? Lena originally wanted to use the work issue to probe for information. She didn't expect Michael to have this attitude. All of Lena's things were taken back by Michael. What was left? Only the child in her belly. At this moment, she also tore her face and no longer concealed it. Michael, if you don't give me money, I'll expose all the rotten things you've done. You still want to get Sophia back? I tell you, it's impossible. If you dare to treat me like this, then neither of us will have a good time. Michael looked at the little secretary who used to be affectionate in his arms, now turning against him for a little money. He just felt it was ridiculous. He actually fell for such a person, oh no, actually cheated with such a person. When starting the business, I accompanied him to sleep under the overpass and eat instant noodles for half a year. We went through thick and thin together. Michael was worried that Lena would do something crazy. So he covered her mouth and dragged her into the room. He forcibly injected the sedative on the table into her body. After instructing his assistant to take her to a private hospital, he went to Country A to find me. The moment the plane landed, I saw my teacher and Eric. Besides me, the student the teacher valued most was Eric. This person was the one I always wanted to surpass during my university days. But every time, I was just a little bit short. It seemed like there was always a 0.1 difference between us. My college entrance exam score was 0.1 less, my GPA was always 0.1 less, and my physical test score was also 0.1 less. I still have his note as 0.1. Long time no see, Sophia. Eric's voice pulled me back to reality. Long time no see. After a simple greeting, the teacher and Eric took me to the welcome party. There were many familiar faces, most of whom were the teacher's students. They were all senior brothers and sisters who had taken good care of me. Relax well this week. The project officially starts in 7 days. The dishes on the table were all my favorites, which surprised me a bit. The teacher also noticed my emotions. Sophia, these are all your favorite foods, right? I thought Eric was lying to us. Yeah, Sophia, we thought Eric wanted to eat them himself and lied to us saying you like them. A senior sister next to me suddenly said. Others also joined in the fun. Eric said a bit embarrassedly, you senior brothers and sisters don't know what junior sister likes to eat, but you tease me instead. Eric, you're still pretending. There was another burst of noise, as if back to university days. Although I was also curious why Eric knew my taste, after all, Michael didn't really understand what I liked even after so many years. After the welcome party, Eric took me around the research institute. After talking about some research content of aviation project number 3, he suddenly asked, "Aren't you married? Participating in this project means you can't go back for 5 years. Will your husband agree?" Seeing me silent, Eric hurriedly explained, "I didn't mean to pry into your private life. I was just curious." "Oh no, I'm not curious. I just care about you. Don't misunderstand." Looking at Eric stuttering, I couldn't help but laugh. The unpleasantness just now was swept away. After taking a deep breath, I said calmly, "He cheated, and the mistress is pregnant. I'm going to divorce him." Eric was stunned and looked at me with a heartbroken expression. I pretended to be relaxed and said again, "It's nothing. My husband just cheated. Why do you look so sad?" The moment I said the word sad, Eric hugged me. I wanted to struggle free, but I heard his gentle voice. "Sophia, you must feel wronged, and you've been tired all these years. If you want to cry, cry. I'm here with you." Crying, since my mother passed away, I rarely cried. The Gu family needed me to support it. For Michael, I had to be strong. Countless nights of breakdown, I digested my emotions by myself. I didn't want to disturb Michael. He was already very busy with work. Such a solid embrace, I didn't want to leave. So I shamelessly hugged Eric and started crying. I paid so much, but this was the result. Eric gently patted my back, silently comforting me. After I was tired from crying, he sent me back to my room. I don't like to show my emotions outwardly. But I have to admit that after crying once, it felt good. Early the next morning, the teacher bought some fruits to find me, with a guilty look. Presumably, Eric had told the teacher about my divorce. I looked at Eric behind me discontentedly. The latter guiltily didn't dare to look at me. "It's all my fault. If I had seen that he was so unreliable back then, I wouldn't have matched you too, and you wouldn't have suffered so many years of grievances." Seeing the teacher's self-blame, I held his hand and comforted him. "Teacher, how can I blame you? He did love me back then. I also truly loved him, but my love can stand the test of time, but his can't. As long as I have a clear conscience." The teacher suppressed the sourness in his heart and comforted me. "It's good that you can think openly. Our future is the sea of stars. The motherland needs you now. Personal feelings are not worth mentioning here." The teacher is right. Compared to Michael's feelings, I have more important things to do. Besides him, there are more people who care about me. I shouldn't let them see me trapped in love like a little girl. Let the past be the past. "All right, teacher, my matter is easy to solve. You don't need to worry. You should find ways to apply for more funds, so that the experiments won't run out of money halfway," I said with a playful smile. "Sophia, have you been led astray by Eric, learning to tease the teacher?" The three of us looked at each other and laughed happily. Michael, after inquiring through various channels, also learned my specific location. When Eric and I went out to find materials to prepare for the project starting in 3 days, we met Michael. It had only been a few days since we last met, but Michael's entire temperament had changed a lot. He became decadent, with a stubbly beard and severe dark circles under his eyes. I originally wanted to pull Eric and leave immediately. But Michael took out the shell pendant and said with a trembling voice, "Sophia, you promised me." I sighed and looked at Eric. "I have some things to deal with. You go back first. I'll wait for you nearby. Call me if you need anything." I hesitated for a moment but still agreed, then walked straight to Michael. "Some things really need to be resolved seriously." Michael looked ingratiating, his tone humble. "Sophia, I don't want a divorce. Do you remember this? You said you would forgive me. If you don't like Lena, I'll drive her away. Wife, come back. I can't live without you." I was confused last time. Let's hold another banquet and tell everyone that I only love you. I said calmly, don't. If another mistress comes to toast me, my body won't be able to take it. My sarcasm didn't dampen Michael's confidence at all. He took out the ring I left at home on his own. Sophia, this is the only ring I designed especially for you. No matter how angry you are, you shouldn't leave it at home. His words made me laugh. Michael, do you know? I have Lena's contact information. You said this is the only one, but how come I saw Lena has one too? You even bought her a house. Tell me, how cheap is your only one? Michael was speechless for a moment and knelt down in front of me with a thud. Sophia, I was really wrong. I promise I won't do it again. Please forgive me for the sake of the shell. I took the shell pendant from Michael's hand. Of course, I remember the promise at that time. Looking at the inlaid things on the shell, which had turned yellow, it proved that its owner didn't cherish it at all. After examining it carefully, I threw the shell pendant into the trash can in front of him. Michael, we're all adults. Can you not be so childish? Some promises only count when we're in love. You take an expired ticket to board a train. Do you think that's possible? Sophia, I really know I was wrong. You promised to forgive me. You can't go back on your word. I love you, Sophia. Looking at Michael kneeling on the ground, I felt no ripples in my heart. 7 years ago, he also knelt down with red eyes to propose to me. 3 years ago, he also begged me, saying he would never let me get hurt. But he still got entangled with Lena, constantly hurting me. The once sweet words now make me feel disgusted every time I hear them. You love me, but I don't love you anymore. Sign the divorce agreement early. If you don't sign, it's just that the judicial process will be a bit more troublesome. Michael unwillingly held my hand and said again, why? Sophia, you say you don't want our many years of feelings, how can you be so heartless? Looking at Michael's heart-wrenching appearance, I only felt it was extremely hypocritical. Is it me who doesn't want it? Michael. Isn't it you who caused us to be like this today? What right do you have to blame me? I'm really annoyed with you. Since you dared to do it, why can't you bear the consequences? I paid so much for you, and how did you treat me? How dare you ask me to forgive you? Seeing Michael holding me tightly, Eric also came forward. I thought he would reason with him, but unexpectedly, he directly kicked Michael away. What's there to say to such scum? Let's go. Since that day, I haven't looked at Michael's news. I heard that Eric used his connections in the country to make things difficult for him. He was extremely busy. The day before the Aviation Project No. 3 mission started, I saw the hot search term. Michael actually kicked Lena to cause a miscarriage and was sentenced for it. But these things have nothing to do with me. What I need to do now is to serve the people wholeheartedly and contribute to the country. Having not been in systematic scientific research for many years, I was a bit unaccustomed at first. To quickly regain my state, I started a high-pressure but fulfilling life. Attending classes, making up lessons, doing experiments, writing papers, when these things surrounded me, I was like a dry sponge, constantly absorbing water. Striving to immerse myself in the ocean of knowledge, all the past unhappiness disappeared from my mind. Every day was tiring, and every moment there was knowledge I didn't understand that puzzled me, but I was really happy and content. For the first time, I clearly felt that not only love can make people happy. Doing what I love really makes me feel comfortable and happy from the bottom of my heart. I still remember the morning when I suddenly heard the alarm clock ringing. The short, urgent sound, accompanied by my heartbeat, 1, 2, piercing through my eardrums. I listened to it loop for a full minute. At that moment, I truly realized that I had recovered. I ran to the forest, listening to the morning birds, the night insects, the teacher's lectures, and his angry scolding. After marrying Michael, I began to dislike socializing. After the car accident 3 years ago, I only hid at home. At that time, I often looked at myself through the mirror, hoping it was just a dream. Sometimes I would deliberately break a teacup to see if I could hear it. After disappointment, I would clean it up and pretend nothing happened. But now, Sophia, let's have lunch together. I have a question to ask you. Sure. I became more and more convinced that this was the happiest time in my 7 years. 5 years passed quickly. During this time, I helped the Aerospace Bureau overcome many difficult problems. Eric and I also developed into a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship. We had many common topics. I thought that after experiencing Michael's incident, I wouldn't be moved again. But daily interactions made me fall in love with this man. He said he had waited for me for 11 years. I like to post food videos with a small account, just to relieve stress. For 11 years, the #1 fan with the cat avatar was him. No wonder he knew what I liked. Some people love passionately, while others love you silently. I didn't want him to wait anymore. Perhaps fate didn't let us meet at the beginning, but our happiness will come sooner or later. After the aviation project #3 research ended, I returned to China. I met Michael again in my favorite seaside town. He was selling my favorite candied haws there. Since he was imprisoned for intentional injury, the Gu family was divided up by other partners. After being released from prison, he just wanted to wait until my research was over and say sorry to me. When I saw him while holding Eric's arm, I saw tears welling up in his eyes. Sophia, do you want to eat candied haws? I'll treat you. I smiled, feeling a bit relieved. No need, my boyfriend will be jealous. The words Michael was about to say were swallowed back. He slowly said, I wish you happiness. If it's Eric, then I will definitely be happy. In a corner I couldn't see, Michael held a shell pendant and cried silently.